What's going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to talk to you about Healthier Choices Management. I want to go over some of the recent updates associated to the company, to the spinoff, and everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And with that said, let's get right to it. So when it comes down to updates associated to HCMC, last one was on November the 14th, 2023, and that was just their Q3 earnings. It is to note they have not submitted their Q4 yet, so they are very late. So of course that is supposed to have been done by the end of December, or I guess it's as of December 31st. So they technically had up until the end of February, but who cares? They're going to spin off. They don't care about HCMC, as I've kind of mentioned in the past. SEC filings, there was one that was submitted on February the 23rd, and ultimately kind of shows how damaging a lot of these preferred shares is. And so ultimately, August 18th, 2022, there was 14.7 million preferred Series E shares, redeemable convertible preferred stock, that was created. And so ultimately, it kind of goes to show right here, recently there was 12,000 shares that was redeemed for a total redemption payment of $12 million. So this goes to show how damaging this is. But essentially good for the company, not good for HCMC, but good for the spinoff. Because like I've said, they're going to take all the valuable assets and drop it to HCWC, which when it comes down to that, we haven't had any updates. So last one was on February the 13th. And so a bunch of S1s, they're going back and forth between the New York Stock Exchange and everything else. But all in all, like things aren't looking like they're going to kind of meet their deadlines, because in these documents they do say that it's going to be intended to be spun off in 2024. And keep in mind, this whole spin-off did originate August 2022. And so, of course, if you kind of think back, it does match with the issuance of the preferred redeemable stock. So it kind of looks just sketchy. And so one thing that Philip Morris did say during that whole lawsuit, which of course that's still ongoing, they said that HCMC was just simply a pump and dump. And I don't mean to be very bold, and I'm not a financial advisor, of course, but it does look as though it is. Because what are the chances that they say that they're going to increase shareholder value and then within the same time period just issue a ton of preferred stock? And then, of course, when it comes down to the ex-dividend date, which was originally in August of 2023, this is where you saw a ton of insiders taking the opportunity to sell out right before the ex-dividend date. So again, a lot of sketchiness. I'm going to talk about the insider selling and everything, but as of right now, it is intended to be 2024 for the spinoff. But if you ask me, I do not think it is ever going to happen because they do not qualify for the New York Stock Exchange. This is why they're going back and forth. And again, they do need more revenue coming in. And I don't know, maybe they just saw their earnings, their Q4 earnings, which they haven't submitted yet, and are just extremely disappointed. But like the New York Stock Exchange is going to be looking at their Q4 earnings. And I don't know, it's just very, very sketchy from the beginning. And it does look as though it's been more of a pump and dump. And the only reason to invest in HCMC right now is simply because of the lawsuit. So this individual since the beginning, I can't remember his name, but he's Shark Invested Waters, has been giving a lot of good updates associated to the lawsuit, whether it be Philip Morris or RJ Reynolds. So it looks like recently RJ Reynolds did submit a document, I guess a motion to dismiss. He goes through all that. I was kind of listening halfway through it, and yeah, ultimately HCMC definitely does have their hands full with both cases. And so interestingly enough, when I did start my YouTube channel, I started to cover HCMC because a lot of people were very interested about the whole Philip Morris lawsuit and just many of the kind of dealings operationally with the company. And so this is why I do feel compelled to really still do HCMC videos despite the massive amount of risks. But as of late, I have been sharing with you guys why I do feel that HCMC is a scam, why the CEOs are and the just executives are just not good for the company. And I wish I would have done a little bit more of a deeper dive into the management. So Jeffrey Holman, Christopher Santee, John 𝗖𝗓𝗏. So John 𝗖𝗓𝗏, I haven't really done too much of a deep dive, but Jeffrey Holman. So for instance, let's look at him for a second. So as you can kind of see, this is all of his transactions. So it does show HCMC, and also previously back in the early 2000s or mid 2000s, I guess, but Vapor Corp. And so ultimately another failed company. And it goes to show that in, looks like 2021 and 2018, he was awarded a ton of shares for HCMC. And then aside from that, he has done nothing but sell. So just sell, sell, sell. Never has he ever bought any shares. And obviously you can kind of see the massive amount of selling that he's done leading up to the ex-dividend date. So once again, kind of shows that it is more of a pump and dump kind of scenario, or at least he's taking advantage of the pump just to sell. And so all in all, this in reality is just extremely sketchy. Even if you kind of look back at his previous position or his employment with Vapor Corp, he was awarded shares and then ultimately just sold. He surprisingly did buy 200,000 shares of the company of Vapor Corp, but then again, you can look in 2017, this is probably how he was compensated, more so with the aftermath, because he was just awarded a ton of shares. So again, all in all, it looks like he is just a very toxic individual, and he kind of followed it into HCMC. Just a lot of people got very hypnotized into HCMC due to the lawsuit and maybe wanted to do better, because of course HCMC's motto is to kind of live a healthier lifestyle, right? So this is why they did start Healthier Choices Wellness Center. And so ultimately I do feel that a lot of people like HCMC and want it to succeed, but with Jeffrey Holman as kind of the front man, I think that is just ultimately going to fail. Even if, for instance, HCWC is spun off sometime in 2024, which again, I don't feel is accurate, even if that does happen, that company is going to most likely bleed out and it is going to dilute to kingdom come. So I'm not really a fan of what has been happening, and the lack of transparency just goes to show that this company doesn't really have much going for it. And I guess the scam, essentially, like they're running out of capital. So their next big thing that they're trying to milk to get money, at least, is through these preferred stock. So there's still quite a lot more. So we'll just have to wait and see what does happen with the remaining. So let me know your thoughts on HCMC. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? Have you been paying attention to, for instance, the various lawsuits? The latest update was the RJ Reynolds one. Are you interested in that? Like, what's your thoughts? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing, make sure you guys take advantage of this promo. It is only up until March the 31st. Simply sign up for a new account with Moomoo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So take advantage of this. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.